Welcome to TradeTheAPI.com. This is Jonas Reports for the 25th, and well, that was quite the effect of the election in France. And you know, it's an interesting one because we talk about the algos and the prepositioning, and there was nothing in it that was known, and so the uncertainty of that certainly was clear. Now, we had the green crossover. We did not get the orange dip below the red to give us a full clear buy setup with this. What we had is the rising shakeout that had started back over here on the dip, and ABM following it off of the reset from the ABM. So from that standpoint, it understood that we had turned a corner with as far as oversold in that, but did not predict how the election would go. And what we did see, though, is the speculation in the Europe was the only clue that people were buying it up and anticipating a pretty stable result, which is exactly what they got. Now we're reaching wonderfully new highs here for the NASDAQ, and really starting to propel into some extreme territory there. You've got positive extreme already from the day, which means as soon as we start to see softening, then we're going to revisit that. And those will seem dramatic days, but when you had this big a move, and it was pretty dramatic, and the euro definitely bolsters the S&P, and it did in a dramatic fashion. I mean, it was a huge move. We've been seeing for the last couple of months the belief that it would be pretty consistent as far as where it was going, and every time we hit the danger zone, central banks jumped in and moved us right back into it and puts us just shy of that overall range. We're still too far down with the bottom there to be able to see the upper line that's up here at 111, which is the typical range that we've been looking for, somewhere above this 107 and 75 range to 111 range. So that's fairly consistent. That bond suffered a little bit. The fact that they even finished to the upside is much more interesting. That you still have some people concerned, but we're finally, again, another orange above the plus 13.5. It should put more pressure. Obviously, ABM makes it very easy. That green ABM, a break below, clearly the marker to look for from a breakdown standpoint. We started up with the same thing here, and it also broke its green ABM on oil, and reaching an oversold position at this particular point. So it's finally hit a bottom, which is interesting. I shouldn't say bottom, it just hit an oversold position. It's not really an indication that there are new buyers, because you can see that spread between the green and red is not indicating. However, you are getting into that automatic reversal spot where people buy in an extreme condition. But in this particular case, they're still above the lows. So to have it jump in a little early means that maybe some of the selling has gone a little soft at this particular point. From a gold standpoint, a lot of people expected a lot more reverse in gold than that. We have some positive extremes, but really right there was where we were looking at. So came pretty darn close to filling it completely, which that we expected to happen. So there's not major concern with that. But overall, the bullish nature of gold is going to continue. This is not going to abate at this particular point. And this is how crazy it was. So we ended up going from here, the massive gap up. And typically on a day like this, you're not going to get much of a sell-off because you've trapped shorts in here. Now, they'll try and hold on to as late as they can. But what happens is as the day gets to the end, usually you finish back there when they realize they don't have a choice. They have to cover because they're so far under. And that usually propels price at least to the highs. That it didn't do more means that there probably just wasn't as significant a short interest. And we'd have to go back to our daily to look at that, and you can see it had been tailing off for days. So there really wasn't that significant amount that really would have pushed this even more. And the fact that this is all done pre-market makes it tough from a sustained standpoint, in that you really didn't have any actual trades for it. It starts up that high, and then you can trade from there, and boom, you elevated the value of everything. So when that gets backfilled, that's going to be a bit more painful for people, and it could cause a little bit more significant selling when it does take place, but we'll see. We're not at that point just yet. we can see the narrow range here, but that's mostly because this was a massive move. Once we get past that, we'll move back into a normal if we just slide through it. Once the spacing gets there, then we'll start to see we're still floating up pretty decent. Not surprising with that, but we had a nice reset all the way down here on this dip pre-market. We'll look for more of the same. As always, though, if there's anything relevant, there just wasn't anything on this chart to be able to really talk about. Fine, we hit the plus 13.5 and faded from there, but it wasn't much of a fade. And it was accurate, though. That's all that matters. That's the most important part of it. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk to you later.